There's confrontation. BNP candidate Mark Collett squares up to protesters outside Leeds Town Hall. That is quite a good picture, actually, isn't it? What do you think to the picture?
That's very good.
That picture, though, I've looked at the picture, mate. That is it. I just look like I'm really dealing with those protesters there. It looks so good.
Mark appeared to think a lot about looking good.
Do I look big enough to be lifting weights?
Yeah, you do. From here you look very big, Mark. 4 times a week he worked out in his basement. He was keen for me to film him. By now, Mark had begun to talk more intimately to me. He was seeing a woman he was very fond of, but she was unhappy about his membership of the BNP. If it came to it, and you had to choose between her and your relationship with the BNP, what would you choose?
Oh, that's basically, if she can't deal with the fact that I'm in the BNP, if she can't deal with the fact of who I am and what my beliefs are, then that says she's a pretty shallow person who's looking simply at the side of life that the media throws up. She's not really looking at me as the whole package. She's taking one thing and blowing it all out of proportion. I think if that was the case, really it'd be an issue with her, not with me.
So the BNP would win in that case?
It's not about winning and losing. It's about, my life's taken a certain path, and people can either accept it or not.
He seemed almost convincing, but I wondered if making that choice was really going to be so easy. Early summer, the World Cup was at its height. We went to a local pub to watch England play Denmark. Mark wanted to be seen as an ordinary bloke, watching the footy and having a beer. He may have felt at home among the painted faces and patriotic chants. But no one here supports the BNP. Except look out for possible converts.
6% of Britain is non-white at this time. We are the majority, but that will change. Sooner or later, we're going to be a minority in our own country. Actually, no way it happens.
I reckon in 20 years' time, we're going to be a minority.
Well, basically, the BNP is just like, what we say is like, vote for us, and we're like the voice of Britain, we're like the voice of working people like yourself.
Mark clearly enjoyed being filmed, but I'd been aware for some time that there were things he'd say only when he thought the camera was off. As the match went on, he began to confide in me. This time, I decided to leave the camera running.
We're like grains of sand on a beach, yeah. Your soul is like a grain of sand, yeah. And there's certain grains of sand that aren't grains, they're rocks. Look at that, starling, or whatever, you'll never get swept away. And their souls are only kept alive by one thing, and that's other souls remembering them, other souls worshipping them. Hitler's still alive, right? So Stalin, so Churchill. Hitler will live on forever. I mean, maybe I will.
Mark's comments in the pub raised more questions about his true beliefs.
Such a mess. Such a mess.
So when I went to see him a week later, I arrived with the camera rolling.
I've not had a chance to clean up.
I'll wait for the lag. Now's your chance. AIU is so noisy here. You're banned. Got quiet real quick. Interesting. Only not.
Almost immediately, Mark began to talk candidly. His views were so distorted, I wasn't sure how to react.
Say that though, black men are, what is it? It's like 60 times more likely to have AIDS than a white man.
Really?
Their genes, by nature, are more sort of promiscuous.
I mean, I remember at the time when AIDS first came out, my dad said it. He said at the time they should have just got the first couple of weeks with AIDS, drag them off, put a bullet in the head and just forgotten about it. But at the time it was like, oh no, you got to treat them as human beings. Blacks, drug users and gays all have it. So really, I've got no problem with AIDS. But I would call it a friendly disease.
Back on camera, things were very different.
You getting the music?
Yeah, what music is that?
This is a band called Shutdown.
Yeah, what music is that?
This is a band called Shutdown. Everyone cuts themselves at least once when they're shaving, but I only realise that I will look quite good if I manage to avoid that. I don't think really I've lost sort of like who I am in like the politics at all. But I'm not big-headed really. I'm not like not those footballers and people like that.
Yeah.
You get like a second division nobody footballer, and he thinks he's the boy and swaggers around and like twats people in town and stuff. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not really become a or anything. You got?
Yeah, that's right. Go ahead.
Do you reckon the comedy Homer Simpson boxers are the ones for today? Is it that kind of day?
It is, yeah.
It's not a day for the serious silk boxer shorts, is it?
No, I think it's a Homer Simpson type day.
Do I get a shot of my body as I drop the town?
Go on then, yeah.
No! Did you go away?
I was getting a sense of Mark's private theories on race. But I wondered, if pushed on camera, how explicit he would be.
Well, white people across the ages, for 40,000 years, different races lived in virtual isolation around the planet. In those 40,000 years, some races went on, well, the white race went on to create civilization, beauty, poetry, music, paintings, all of such wondrous artistic merit.
I'm not sure quite how you would break up the definition of white race.
Well, basically, it's like this. Across Europe, there were small variations in culture. Like Germans have slightly similar national dress, French do as well. Slightly different food. Like we have more potato-based meals, where the French have pasta-based. And so do the Italians.
Right.
In France and Italy, there's a lot more pasta-based dishes, isn't there?
Sure. So
But
if
we
there's
have
a
potatoes.
wave of French and Italian immigration into Britain.
Well, the thing is, there isn't really waves of white immigration. Whites tend to stay more or less put, and they have done for the past 1,000 to 2,000 years, other than, say, like Roman Empire and stuff.
Roman. The Romans release Warrior. The Roman Empire.
Like that. But
Should I give commentary? I'm just researching this for a future video and for a cleansing. I'll give you guys another chance. Anyone here sympathetic to Mark Collett? You like Mark Collett? Good guy? Agree with Mark Collett? Anything like that? Just let me know in the chat.
mainly, they've stayed more or less put.
So where do Jews fit into this?
The Jews. His favorite topic.
Oh, wow, whacking.
What was this? Oh, hold on. I was going to read that. I hope because if you now more people go and watch his channel. Yeah, his channel's probably not long for this world. I don't know. It's a documentary somebody did. I've never seen it before, so I'm watching it. Why? So your mods could delete it? Yeah, that's why. If you say anything I don't like, you're getting deleted immediately. Mark is the man. Jesus Christ. Bye. What do we got here? As long as he's not looking to do harm to innocent people, why does it matter what he thinks? Because he is looking to do harm to innocent people. There's that. This is not hard to figure out. This is like such a basic cleansing. It's like an enema. Neocon AIU. Interesting. It's like literally going through someone's cancer with a machete. That's what chat is. All you people basically suck. Look at this. I like myself. That's a timeout. My mic is maxed. Maybe I'll turn this down. Although, could bump it like that. Check. All right, let's go back to it.
Whacking the usual questions, get the Jews in there.
Check. Nazis. The fucking Nazis.
You do, because...
Real quick. You like Mark Collett? Say it in the chat. Hooray for guns. There you go. Oh yeah, if you like guns, do you like guns? Big Second Amendment guy? Say it in the chat. Do it. Do it. I dare you. Get snarky. This is your internet. You got a mask on. You notice how when you're wearing your Corona mask, you feel all brave and shit? Like, people don't know who I am. I can just do whatever I want. That's what you are right now. Ooh, there's a 2A. 2A. Bye now. See you later. Yes, I think Joe Exotic should be free. I do. I think he got framed. I think it's bullshit. Okay.
They tend...
Well, Jews classify themselves as a race of people.
Weiss, the Weiss. Look at this pose he's going for. It's kind of a little bit gay to be positioned like that in front of another man. Spread eagle, man spreading. Mark Collett is gay. Anyone take issue with that statement? He's a gay man. I'm telling you, Mark Collett is a gay man. Did that upset you? Fuck. I might write a comment. Wouldn't you write a comment on that? Oh, they're part of the Debate Me Bro universe? No, it's never happening. I'm just going to play my role. Yeah.
Well, Jews actually, the Jewish community classes themselves as a race. Jews are slightly darker skin tone than whites, slightly sort of, they range sort of slightly lighter than Arabs, but not usually as white as light skin colour. There's many different facial differences.
That's crazy that he's been, for this amount of time, he's been talking this shit. He's talking about the race of Jews. I mean, God, what a lame point. Jews come in all different races. I mean, he must be aware of that, right? But if he's talking about, who cares? Yes, they have bloodlines. They have gone back for hundreds of years. So what?
Definitions.
Differences.
Differences to define them away from, say, a traditionally Western European look.
Right.
They're different. Great observation, Mark.
And that's recognisable.
I think it's highly recognisable for people who are genuinely Jewish of racial descent. Yes.
People like me. I'm Jewish by racial descent.
The cameraman? Oh boy.
But Mark hadn't realised.
Young, Nazi, and proud. I'm stunned. You know what's stunning? Is Mark Collett a Nazi? 70 votes. 57% yes, 42% no. People must be severely confused. The star and subject of Young, Nazi, and Proud is not a Nazi? Oh boy. The casting director's got some explaining to do. I think we will discover that he probably is Young, Nazi, and Proud. And interesting, the proud part. Proud would indicate you're not hiding, you're not shy, you're not pretending you're not something. Which more and more, I guess, he hasn't. Which is culminated in his recommending Mein Kampf as a book. Did he agree to the title? I mean, I think the video kind of speaks for itself. He was just fawning over Hitler a second ago. He's been fawning over Hitler for multiple decades now. And I think there's sort of a gotcha moment here where he didn't realize the camera was on. He's a different guy. Jews are actually a bit of a unique case because they identify themselves as both a race and a religion. I don't know any other group that does that. It presents a bit of a unique situation. Yeah. It doesn't matter. And yeah, most answers are not just yes, no. It's just, it really just gets down to how you want to define terms and words. And so it doesn't really matter.
I thought, that's it. That's lung cancer, it's caught up with me. I've lost the chance of grandchildren, probably.
What?
And there's still so much I want to do.
If you want to stop smoking, call 0800 169 0169.
It's a good message.
Every day, Royal Mail helps the financial services industry reach millions of customers. Every day, our special delivery service guarantees valuable packets arrive.
Okay.
Mom.
God bless Royal Mail.
Your bedroom's nice and tidy.
July, and Mark's parents have arrived in Leeds for his graduation ceremony.
So, this is the day I've waited for since you was 11 weeks old. Mark.
Don't film now.
Yeah, go on, it's nice.
They're not dressed smart enough.
I don't believe he's saying that about me. I'm not dressed smart enough.
Knowing they were close, I'd been keen to meet them. And they, it seemed, were keen to make me one of the family.
Right.
So he was living at home at this time, and I've never seen this before. I don't know the backstory, the origin story of Mark Collett, trying to understand how he became who he became. At the beginning of this, he was already sort of deep into the rabbit hole.
So his uncle Dave.
If you go to atheismunstoppable.com, there's a t-shirts link. I got 3 different stores. Teespring is the main one, though. And the links are in most of this, every description except for this one. This one, I just have the Streamlabs.
David today.
I was going to say.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
But he does look quite like me.
Yeah.
He does actually.
The Jewish cameraman looks a bit like you? Really? What volume is low? Hello, check. My volume? It feels like it's the same.
Similarity with the nose, isn't there?
Oh,
The Jewish nose.
Actually, it does say
There is actually, David,
on
on-
campus at least 1.5 hours before your ceremony is due to commence. Mark.
You were saying that this has been a dream of yours or something? Yeah.
Yes, it has been a dream of mine ever since he was 11 weeks old.
Really? What happened at 11 weeks old? Why 11 weeks old?
Well, I telephoned the
Was that a Nazi symbol up there? All Celtic, German, something, Viking, what is it?
local prep school
Oh, really?
and put his name down at the prep school, and that was the start of it, really. And it was my dream, yeah, definitely.
So you're excited?
Am I excited? Yes, excited and proud. Let me look at you.
What are they excited and proud about? I missed it.
You look
What do you think of the
wonderful.
tie knot? Is that okay?
Yeah, it's lovely, darling.
Okay. Let the day of family fun commence.
Are they going to church?
Yeah, I've got a couple of minutes. Yeah.
On the way to the university, Mark gave an impromptu newspaper interview.
Are you doing an article about me? Good. The white people across Europe are all being put down, and they're all being betrayed by the same kind of breed of politicians who all stick
It just goes into his other mode when, like, he's on to his party bit now, isn't it? And it's not always we see that side of it.
Basically, not even enough people turned up to make the meeting court, so they had to hold it again. But there's plenty for a load of scavenging asylum seekers.
I have occasionally when he's been at home
That was
during
the Sunday
the holidays.
Times.
Oh.
Left-wing Mark.
What's that?
He says it's the Sunday Times. I mean, it's another left-wing paper, isn't it? The Times.
Hello, it's me.
After collecting his 2-2 in business economics, Mark joined his peers for a class photo. He'd achieved notoriety on campus after surviving a campaign to expel him. But watching him on his last day, it seemed that he'd won few friends here.
Not all parents see their dreams come true in their children, do they? So I just think I'm so lucky.
But I think there are a lot of parents, that agree with you that it would be a dream to see their child go to university, but they may feel very uncomfortable about them working for the British National Party.
I'm not uncomfortable with it. I sometimes feel worried for Mark. Well, I think the British National Party are misunderstood.
They've been painted black all of the time. The majority of things that the BNP talk about, the general public, I meet a lot of people, all say exactly the same thing, but they say it behind closed doors. I would say we're probably middle to probably middle of the road to a little bit right wing, but not massively right wing, are we?
Well, I would say we fall very heavily into the silent majority category.
Yes, we do, don't we? That
And I
is
genuinely
absolutely brassed off with what's going on today, but
feel helpless.
But
keep paying for it all.
The British National Party's philosophy is considered by a lot of people to be a racist philosophy.
Is considered by a lot of people,
Yeah.
and that's precisely it. Is considered.
But can anybody give us any conclusive evidence that there's racist overtones there, or that there's any racist agenda there?
Well, I mean, their stated aim is that they'd like an all-white society.
Come on, you buggers, don't let me down now. Okay, that's fine. Thank you,
Mark walked away from student life and straight into the arms of the party. Within weeks, he was on the payroll, working for the BNP full-time.
Organisation is key, David.
As well as running the youth wing, Mark's on the BNP's advisory council, deciding party policy. He's also producing local leaflets and organising the Bradford operation.
If people want the BNP pens, get them now while you still can. Have a nice day.
But Mark's new relationship with the party has come at a price.
There you go, love. Have a nice day. Sun's just come out for you.
That girlfriend he was so fond of doesn't want to see him anymore. Did you love her?
Did I love her? No. Well, can we not just... She gave me a choice. She was like, leave the BNP for me, basically, and we'll, be together. No way. You know what I mean? if I respect somebody, there's no way I'm going to leave what I love and what I believe in for them. If I did leave...
So, for people in the chat from England, who are the BNP completely eradicated or just without support? And if so, who has replaced them? Is it that party that Sargon killed? Is that the next thing? Like, do people just migrate over there? I don't know.
The BNP, how many people have been let down? Just to iterate, I'd never leave the BNP for anyone ever. I'd never even contemplate it.
Mm.
If you took a look at her life and started acting in a sensible, normal way, you know, I think, you know, she would be a very nice girl.
Can you not think that she maybe thought exactly the same about you?
No.
As well as taking on new party responsibilities, Mark's moving house. The BNP will be paying the rent. His new home is in a better part of Leeds, where there seems to be a strong sense of community.
Wait a minute, you just said all right-wing parties are dead in the UK. Then why did the Liberal Party get smoked in the last election? Are you saying that the current party is just the moderates? You're not counting them as right-wing?
I feel that there's absolutely no way you can sledgehammer that door. I'm seeing big widescreen TV there. This room, study. The double bed in the top room is really nice.
Yeah,
because that's what's going to be my love nest. Original Star Wars trilogy around there. What do you reckon? Oh, gross! It's got mold in the fridge.
I think it's quite nice. It feels more of a community around here than where you are at the moment.
Yeah, maybe so, but not a white community.
Mark seemed prepared to tolerate the diversity of his new neighbourhood. But that night, while out drinking, something happened that he found harder to swallow. I went to talk to him the following morning.
Looks a bit like Anne Frank up at that attic.
There were a couple of things that upset you last night, weren't there? Well, there were those two girls we were talking to.
Oh, it's just you see a nice fit blonde bird getting off with a big black guy. You think he's stupid little white slut. Well, that's what I think. It's like a fad. They think it's cool. To them, it's an accessory, like a Gucci bag. I just think, you know, you brain dead white slag.
But don't you think she just found him attractive?
The particular one we're talking about was a particularly repugnant black, I thought. No, you know, you see, no, I failed to see what anyone could find attractive about him. I really do, it bemuses me. It really does bemuse me. Oh God, I could do with a couple of extra hours in bed this morning. After a manly bonding session, some drinks, the Channel 4 news team move on. That was my newscaster voice.
That was very good. Do some of your other impressions then.
I do my Alan Partridge, that's my... but I have to think of a great Partridge. I like the one where he's walking down the street singing Goldfinger, that's my good. Goldfinger. I'm not going to do it.
Go on.
So he's like a dork. He's like a nervous, lonely dork who's looking for acceptance and friendship. I don't know. But he feels insecure. He's triggered by a black and a white woman. Huh.
They're any of my partridges. Goldfinger, he's the man with the mightiest, a spider's touch.
Mark and I shared an affection for Steve Coogan.
And from what he said, what did he say, 6% of England at this time was non-white? And he was freaking out then? Huh.
But later in the drive, he began discussing another of his heroes.
I'd love to meet Johnny Adair, though. I'd really like to meet him.
Johnny Adair, otherwise known as Mad Dog, is Belfast's leading loyalist paramilitary, convicted for directing terrorism.
Why not?
Mark saw parallels between Northern Ireland and Northern England.
Do you really think that some Oldham and Bradford could become like that?
Yeah, definitely. I just think there will be. I think there's going to be a lot of bloodshed, to be honest. It's going to be a big mess. Asian gangs are attacking white lads and driving them out, but it's only so much will the white community take. And with the economic slump coming as well, when it all hits, there will be militant gangs of lads formed around people like me, and then I will eventually become, in essence, not a Johnny Adair or Billy White maybe, but I will become leaders that people will cluster around in those areas, and people will, you know, fight alongside me. Hiya, Nick. How's it going?
Mark's unguarded disclosures were becoming more frequent, and in the days to come, they would become even more extreme.
That's why the car from warehouse should give.
A lot of Mark Collett's time is now spent shuttling around Yorkshire, visiting British National Party branches. It was on these long drives, when Mark believed the camera was off, that I'd been getting real insights into his beliefs. On one trip, he started talking about Hitler's Germany.
National Socialism was the best solution for German people back in the 1930s. It's not the solution for British people in 2002. When people say, do you take any inspiration from that? I mean, I honestly can't understand how a man, who's seen the inner city hell of Britain today, can't look back on that era with a certain nostalgia and think, yeah, those people marching through the streets and all those happy people out in the streets, you know, saluting and everything was a bad thing. Now, I actually can't see how anyone can look round on this, like, on this nightmarish society in places like Bradford, Birmingham, and think, you know, Germany in the 1930s was worse than that, because it wasn't, was it?
Wow, that's a really interesting, blinded opinion about 1930s Germany. He's basing it on the happy, smiling faces of the people at a parade. What about everyone who wasn't German? It wasn't a great time for them, was it? Including the Jews of particular importance. But yeah, what a weird thing to say. I mean, you could say Bradford is shit, and then you could come back and say, you know, it used to be better, and here's why it's bad. But to insert Nazi Germany as an ideal and just avoid, you know, the obvious problems with fawning over Nazi Germany. I mean, shit, why don't you just jump to Germany today? Or Germany in 1998? It was doing great. Reunified. Booming. Way more peaceful. But no, you had to jump to Nazi Germany. Very strange. I mean, it's indefensible.
You know, honestly though, would you prefer your kid growing up in Oldham and Burnley or 1930s Germany?
I mean, the thing is, a lot of people say...
What the fuck? People say I'm whispering. Hello? How is that a whisper? Look. That volume, look at my volume. How is this whispering?
The 1930s.
Yeah, well, you know, fair enough, fair enough.
What the fuck? Disable streamer mode? What's going on? Some bullshit.
Enough, but from my point of view, it must be from your point of view, you know, it would be better for your child to grow up there. Wouldn't it?
Better for your child to grow up in Nazi Germany. I mean, that's not a coincidence. I mean, he's wrong that things were all peachy keen in 1930s Germany, let alone 40s. I mean, is he aware that 1940s Germany was not a good place? But even 1930s, it was, you know, just a authoritarian, fascist, anti-Semitic place. And it had a lot of fucked up, warped ideas. I mean, if you're not familiar with that history, and by the way, let me pause this to impress you with my geography skills, which I have, granted, been practicing. And I'm about to shove this in your face. Play along at home, and don't even pretend for a second that you know where these countries are. All right? I am right around here at Rio de Janeiro, Egypt. Egypt is somewhere... It's one of the... No. Egypt is over here, and I got it right. Now screw you. The Bahamas, is that them? Got it. Bulgaria. I went to Bulgaria. And it's, my friend Billy Bong calls it Bulgaria, and that's where it is. Croatia, I used to live there, so I should know that one, yes. Burkina Faso is this little dude right there. Jamaica, I've never been there, but I have family there. Cape Verde, I was going to go visit there. It's off the coast of Senegal, and there it is. Finland, never had a reason. Gambia, I'm going to say it's this little sliver here. Bosnia and Herzegovina, I say here. Uruguay, I've been to once and is very close to me. It's down there. Turkmenistan is over here. The Maldives is there. Dominica, you bitch. I don't know. It's one of these. Oh, Dominica, you're a bitch. Oh my god, and I got it. Moldova. That's tricky. Moldova's tricky. But I got it. Bolivia is larger than I thought. And there it is. Nigeria is this. It's the most popular country in Africa. Cuba is there. Never been. Albania. Huh. Albania. Dirty. Al-fucking-bania. Hold on. Wow. I feel it's here. Yeah, it's weird. It's right next to Greece. Doesn't get the pub. Albania. Ecuador. Tricky. There it is. Honduras. You know it's there. Philippines. We slide over here and we click it. Lebanon. This little red guy there. Madagascar. We love it. Mauritania. Got it. South Sudan is there. Austria is here. Belgium is there. In Bruges. Kenya would be here. Qatar is that. Singapore is funky. There it is. Switzerland, my former home. Beautiful place. And Switzerland is down here. Iceland, of course. Taiwan. Belarus. Oh god, I'm on fire. Brazil, well, I'm here. South Africa, my father was born there. Rwanda's a tricky little bitch. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, who knows? What a... St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I don't know. It's one of these. Nope. Nope. Oh my god, and I got it. Wow, Botswana. I feel like Botswana's here. Wow. Barbados. Yeah. Guinea-Bissau. We go here. St. Kitts and Nevis. Yep. Eswatini. Spain. Yeah. Germany. We got it. The Sudan was probably above the South Sudan. Saudi Arabia is there. Cambodia. That's the home of Chris Dangerfield. There he is. Trinidad and Tobago. Wow. That is 50 out of 50. And it's crazy. Yeah, it's Brown Fabio levels of... that's an incredible performance, live.
And we all know that the Jews had given the German people a bit of a whipping, and one of the thorns that people felt were in their sides.
What? The Jews gave the Germans a whipping?
And we all know that the Jews had given the German people a bit of a whipping.
What? In what world is that true?
And one of the thorns that people felt were in their sides. And look, I'm going to let...
No, but that's... Yeah, on some of the random ones, the islands, I've practiced it. But I'm good at geography going in. I mean, don't even front. All right, who said you want to switch to flags? Okay, the chat is saying do the flags. Do the flags, Devin. You can't do the flags, Devin. Okay, fine. I respond to the chat. You want the flags? I'll give you the flags. 50 of them. Wow, right off the bat. Taiwan. That is Argentina. This is tricky, man. Shit is tricky. That's Rwanda. That's Spain. I'm going Tunisia. That is fucking tricky, man. I think I get this wrong. I think it's the Netherlands, but it's Luxembourg. Yeah. That would be Malawi. God damn it. Oh my god. Mexico has the little thing. 2 off in a row. It's ugly. Mm-hmm. I'm out of practice. And this just fucks me every time. Red on top is Poland? No, it's Monaco. Okay. Mm-hmm. Malawi? Mm-hmm. Oh, man. These 2 flags are exactly the same, just slightly different colors. Qatar and Bahrain. I think Qatar is the... Fuck. I got it. How is that not the flag from before? Red on top, white on the bottom. What? Indonesia, Poland. Oh. It gets me every time. Oh my god, I guessed right. Wow. Moldova, Andorra. I go... Yeah, it's the exact same flag. Alright. That's funky. Montenegro. That's gotta be... We're back. What in the hell? That looks exactly like Andorra. Eritrea. Australia. Jamaica. Mali? Or Cameroon? Mali. That's Ghana? That's Myanmar. Good lord. Well, got some room to improve.
I'll never say this on camera, yeah? And you can say this to whoever you want, because it's true. The Jews are being thrown out of every country, including England. There's not a single...
And he views that as a justification. Throw them all out. They weren't thrown out of America, were they? Australia, no. A lot of Jews down there. There's Jews in Argentina. Yeah. There was just that one massive thing in Europe, and they got thrown out of there. And, yeah. But his takeaway from that is, that's what we should do with the Jews. Throw them out.
European country the Jews have not been thrown out of. And let's face it, David, when it happens that many times, it's not just persecution. There's no smoke without fire.
Right, so he looks at a group of people being violated and oppressed and killed and slaughtered and driven out, and he says, oh, that's the lesson of history. Fuck the Jews. Go after the Jews. What kind of a dildo would you have to be to take that as your takeaway? What kind of a... what the hell? What, you think England's going to be improved by getting the Jews out of England? What?
August, and Mark has joined in the preparation.
What a sad, pointless life. Try, Mark. Get the Jews out of England. Let's see how that goes.
For the party's biggest annual get-together, the Red,
And he tried to do it with politics. Look at him, hustling.
White and Blue Festival.
And sadly now his political career is over. Oh.
Festival being held in Lancashire, its new heartland.
Can you see that, mate? Yeah. Oiling the Nazi machine.
Several.
What? Oiling the Nazi machine?
100 of the faithful are expected for this celebration of British culture.
When I was told I was going to work for a political party, I didn't expect making urinals to be on the job list.
I think this is...
Site foreman is the party's leader, Nick Griffin.
This is, I want to say Romania. Are these gypsies?
Part way up on the stakes.
Yeah.
So it's sort of, you know, to there to there.
Yeah.
Okay. How shy people are. Okay. Mark is one of nature's live wires. He throws out more ideas than we can cope with at any one time.
Yeah, can you stop chucking the stakes in the shit?
Sorry.
What is this, like Nazi Stonehenge?
Any movement which has got conviction in the cause attracts people who are like-minded. He's got the potential to be one of the very, very top.
In sort of the future, would you see his...
No, let me slightly revise that. The idea that... hold on. Gotta refresh. Guy says demographics are destiny. I think character is destiny. And the character of someone who says demographics are destiny gets you banned. But also just the NPC thing.
His contribution to the party developing into?
I don't know. I suppose sometime down the line in 10 or 15 years' time, with luck, I can retire and he can take over. Some people are sort of like a...
He's dragging rusted metal across a field for a reason.
Comet that does a huge amount and is very visible for a year or so. Other people are still here in 20 years' time. I have a hunch that Mark will still be here in 20 years' time.
He's correct. Mark is bigger than ever. And I would venture to say he's the most popular Nazi in the world. Outside of, I mean, I don't know any others by name. I don't know I mean, I know there's an official Nazi party, at least in America. And I'm sure there's a leader of Golden Dawn or something. But in terms of YouTube, at least, he's the most popular Nazi.
After helping with the preparation...
He almost has 100,000 subs. He's on streams all the time. He's platformed all over the place.
...preparations for Red, White and Blue, Mark treated me to a preview of his latest marketing idea, CDs of his own ideological speeches. His first work is in story form.
This is before the internet.
Hello. Our tale begins. A young man by the name of Tim awoke one morning, and as he watched the morning news...
Tim's a student who's told he's sick. He paid a visit to an evil doctor called Goldfinch, who just prescribed mysterious blue pills that made Tim feel worse.
Goldfinch's greedy dark eyes stared intently at it, for this was a check from the company that made the blue pills.
Finally, Mark's analogy became clear.
Today in Britain, and all over the white nations of the world, millions of people are asking, why multiculturalism? Just like Tim asked, why the blue pills?
A kid could understand that, couldn't they? I mean, you give that thing to a 12-year-old child, and they could draw the conclusion from it. But you can also give it to a seasoned activist, or a new activist, or an intelligent person, and they'd be able to gain something from it too. What a beautiful day.
Part rally, part summer camp, Red, White
Ah, the boots. So what do we got? Skinheads here, huh?
and Blue kicks off in high spirits.
You go down like a sack of shit stuff.
Mark's brought his new girlfriend, Sue.
Where's Sue gone? Sue, have you seen my black t-shirt?
He's also brought a job lot of his new CDs, but they're not selling well. Fortunately, he's got some support from Amy, his sister.
I got the looks, he got the brains.
She's taken over the marketing.
Go on, I'll buy one, mate. I won't be a mean.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, cheers.
Watch your box. Just come later.
Oh.
The Anti-Nazi League is here too.
Ah, the origin of Antifa.
Doggedly trying to unmask its adversaries. While the BNP claims to have ditched its pro-Nazi image, the protesters say the transformation is barely even cosmetic.
Well, I think after this, and I'm not sure what was the final blow, but the BNP got rid of Mark Collett.
And if you know what to look for, there are coded displays of the party's true affections.
Small, yeah.
The Odal rune, chosen by Mark as the logo for the young BNP.
Yeah, the rune. I mean, it's all these weird fucking fan fiction LARPing bullshit, like dog whistles to white supremacy, Nazism. And they don't have the balls to come out and just fully be who they are, which is, it's weird because they know it's just not popular. And so they try to like soft ball you into their beliefs, and they get you into a little bit, and then it is realized later that, oh my God, these people are complete Nazis.
P was adopted by sections of the SS, as was the Laban rune seen here on Sadie's t-shirt. They appear to be innocuous, but on Starkey's shirt, 8.
Yeah, that sister's tits. I mean, I saw the mom. I don't think the mom had tits like that. I think those got to be fake. But 1998 fake tits, yeah, it's doable, but you'd have to have a reason, really, because she wasn't old.
Stands for the 8th letter of the alphabet. HH, Heil Hitler.
Yeah, he says it's a Viking rune that means heritage. Yeah, but it means more than its literal meaning. I mean, symbols embody more than that, and they grow and evolve.
Other signs are more obvious.
It's like saying Pepe the Frog means it's an image of a frog. A frog is an amphibious animal. I'm not sure what exactly is wrong with heritage. Well, like you said, it's a dog whistle to white supremacy. I mean, it's just that's the affiliation. I mean, especially knowing the context of these guys. Like, oh yeah, this is the guy who's harking back saying, oh, wouldn't it be great if we were all in Nazi Germany? And then the other person's wearing a symbol that was used by the SS officers. You don't know what's wrong with that? What is that right there? Do you know what's wrong with that? That's not a ninja star.
Inside the big top, party members settled down for an afternoon of political speeches. Mark was supposed to be first up.
Yes, there's a series of images and symbols that, on a spectrum from swastika to just loosely Celtic, something that would be on a dude's body tatted, they're just varying degrees of dog whistles. This is not rocket science. It's not just a shape. It has a history to it.
But he's having a last-minute wobble.
I can't open a meeting when I haven't even written a speech.
No, okay.
I've got a sore throat as well. I'm debating whether to even speak or not, because I can barely talk.
Well, I'll put you on a bit later then.
Oh, I feel sick.
On that theme, I'd like to introduce the man who runs the Young BNP, Mark Collett.
A young girl tapped me on the shoulder, and I turned around and looked at this creature, a dreadlocked white slag, who called...
Start of a political career, and he's talking about dreadlocked white slags. That's the audience. That audience laughed and clapped and reacted to that. That worked on them.
And she said, I was a Nazi and I was motivated by hate. I said, I'm not motivated by hate. I'm motivated by love. Love for my culture.
Yeah, we're not saying you hate your culture, whatever you consider your culture to be. Most of the people in, quote, your culture hate you. So that's something to be pointed out. We're talking about your hatred for the Jews and for blacks as a start. Yeah, that's why people say you hate. They're not saying you hate the skinheads in this crowd.
My heritage and my race.
Look at this dude in the chat worried about the swastika and the original Indian meaning of it. Whatever the, Buddhist bullshit. Yeah, when I was out in Korea, I saw swastikas up there. It obviously has a different historical context. But if you're using the swastika, first of all, why would you be using that? What are you doing? You're going to start a yoga practice and be like, hey, it's, Shannon's yoga. And then just have a big swastika and be like, no, it's the Buddhist thing. It's retarded. The symbol is dead. The symbol has been taken over by its context in World War II. Don't be an asshole.
And she said, white people don't have culture. She said, white people don't have a history. We've stolen it all from the non-whites. And she told me...
Yes, white people have a history. Our history is not the Nazis of Germany. First of all, none of us are German. Hey, Mark, we were the guys fighting the Nazis. What happened to your nationalism? Britain, as a nation, was the enemy of Hitler and the Nazis. We died fighting Hitler. Like, it's just weird. Why on earth would we look at that group of people, out of all the white people in history, and think, oh yeah, that's us. It's not us.
She had a non-white boyfriend, and him and his kind, they're enriching this country. And I'll tell you one thing, over 40,000 years, her boyfriend and his kind have achieved the same level of culture that our ancestors had when we shared this country with the woolly mammoth.
So, that was just a shot at black people, which... It's just a weird thing. Look at the group of degenerates that he's talking to. Just total gutter scum. And he's trying to say, yeah, look, we developed civilization. You guys didn't. You guys didn't do jack shit. You didn't kill a woolly mammoth. You didn't build Notre Dame. You didn't, you're not the Wright brothers. You didn't go to space. But what is this? Just a flex? A weird flex? Mark and no one under this tent did any of this shit. But they're going to take credit for it and then be like, hey, the blacks didn't do that. All right. Yes, technically true, but look at the emotional cry. You needed that? You needed that boost? You still didn't do that stuff.
It puts the great back in Great Britain. Thank you.
Make Great Britain great again. This dude predated Trump.
It turns out that Mark had little to worry about. The rabid nature of his speech.
Wow, your sister and your mother congratulate you for getting up there and saying that racist shit. That's when the guy's just, he's a problem. And he's entrenched. He's not going to change these opinions ever.
He's always going to make it a crowd pleaser.
But you've got a bad throat.
Good speech, Mark. Cheers, mate.
And look at the sense of community. This is the same guy at his school graduation. Everyone wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole because they're like, this guy's a menace and he's retarded and he's hateful. And look at now. Hey, Mark, good job, Mark. Great speech, Mark. Love the part about the woolly mammoth. Yeah, white people are great. Yeah, fuck the slags. Those slags who sleep with the blacks. Fuck them. Fuck the Jews, right, Mark? Yeah. So look at this. Just, popular. He's popular. He's getting validated. It's a beautiful thing.
Cheers. Brilliant.
The BNP, Nick Griffin's nationalist army, now believes it's marching towards power, inspired by its electoral success. But to me, this organisation is no army, or even really a political party, more a fundamentalist movement, a cult.
Yeah, and they really develop community. The sense of belonging is really apparent. I can see it spring up. It's quite, I think it's one of the most appealing parts of any sort of movement. And the radical ones they lean into it way more because they know it's attractive.
And within it, the followers, isolated from the rest of society, find a real sense of belonging.
So, yeah, that's what I just said.
Tony Blair arriving to face the press.
At his parents' home, Mark is waiting to see himself on TV. His latest project, a poster campaign aimed at school children, has provoked a flurry of media interest. His sister Amy has been criticised by her friends because of her involvement with the BNP.
You're a peripheral character, Amy.
But I don't want to be on film. No, I don't, because if it gets back to
You
where...
already got it, Amy. Silly.
Back to where? Because people then will think that I'm one of Mark, and I'm not. No, they can't. Yeah, they can think that. Yeah, but it's really difficult to change people's perception, isn't it? Once you
What about you were selling his racist CDs, and now you're trying to distance yourself because you're taking heat? Just be proud. She's not young, proud, and a Nazi right now.
Wrong. Then it's their fault. They have the problem, not you.
One minute you're happy to be BNP, the next minute you're not.
No, she's never been BNP.
Amy, you have. You will.
Yeah, I involved myself to support you.
Amy.
This video should be called Amy's Tits and Mark Collett.
This is not the time or the place to be doing all this, is it?
No.
So shut
And
it.
if you don't want to be filmed, Amy, then you have to go out the room. It's that's you know, it's as simple as that.
Right, so think of this. Your parents are right-wing. They think that they're just, they're on the right, they're not hard right. And then you have a child. Now, usually the child rebels, and they would go the other direction. But neither him or his sister are doing that. Obviously, he's further to the right than his sister, as this is being made clear. But I guess the parents' beliefs sort of gave cover to Mark, and the reason that I feel like, and this goes for like skinheads and all sorts of other, racist kind of groups, he was lonely and rejected and an outsider and angry and insecure and scared. And with all these things, he found a gang. I mean, this is the same story of why someone goes to a gang. And he got acceptance. And he have purpose. Now he has meaning. And he's getting validated. And yes, the views are a little bit toxic, but it doesn't matter. You're into that whirlpool, and he's just going down that path.
You know, you've obviously got...
But anyway, I'm a bit nervous because I'm about to be on Channel 4.
Before checks are complete. The British National Party has been criticised after launching a competition for kids to design posters showing whites as the main victims.
Racism cuts both ways. Well, in 1998, that's a way tougher sell. In 2015, you got mountains of evidence of that. But yeah, I mean, this is what they do also. So Mark Collett has kernels of truth. But then what he puts around it, what he builds around that, is all just bullshit. And it's hateful, extreme, ridiculous rhetoric. So that's a terrible poster, by the way.
Of racist attacks.
We're trying to highlight that the media covers up racist attacks against whites. And this poster simply states that racism cuts both ways and that it does affect white people as well.
Yeah, so that's the introduction into, 100 other points. And he starts with the moderate point. That's why he's wearing a suit and tie. That's why he was just nervous for going on the news, because he wants to, he's worried about what others are going to think of him. So optics, they always talk about optics. They realize that by themselves, they're nothing. They have no power. They got no military. They cannot get society to bend to their will. So they need your help. That's why they're desperate, like a virus, to grow. And they'll do anything to make you join with them. And one method to do that is to start with something reasonable. Hey, here's something that you can agree with, right? We're both against Muslim rape gangs, yeah? I'm against racism, but I'm against all racism, even when it's against whites. He's not going to come and lead with, the Jews are a fucking cancer, okay?
Mark's always been adored within his family. But when his close relationships conflict with his beliefs, he gets angry and feels betrayed.
Fuck you, fuck it.
And this anger appears to have no limits. In his car, Mark suddenly started talking about that ex-girlfriend.
I like to break people. So when you got something, when you break...
Listen to this music. That's his feeling. He vibes with that energy in that music. The guy has just inner turmoil.
When you've sucked the last bit of life out of them, that's it. Never crush her, because that doesn't hurt the most. Just everything that she cares about, everything dear to her is crushed.
in a very realistic way when people say I am evil, you know what I mean? Yeah, I am. But it all depends. I'm either the sweetest angel or the most evil demon you've ever encountered. It just depends what you decide to push me.
So he has the capability of great evil. That's how he views himself, which is odd and alarming. 34, capable of evil. All true. Yep.
Never kill people, push them to the point of despair where they do it themselves.
Never kill people, push them to the point of despair where they do it themselves. Nice, dude. Nice.
That's what you've really won. When you've broken them down to the final level when there's nothing worth living for, and they do it themselves, there's no blood on your hands then. You just won.
Oh, yeah, perfect. That's just great. How to make friends and influence people and force them into suicide without getting the blood on your hands, by Mark Collett. Is that his next book?
I love you two over there, mate! Fucking bastards!
Keep going, keep moving, please, gents, keep moving! You fucking scum!
Seneca's adoptive son. Is this research? What does it look like? No, I'm writing down timestamps and notes for you, Seneca. I could give a fuck. Eat my shit.
September the 11th, Mark led a demonstration outside a London mosque. An Islamic conference was being held to mark the terrorist attacks on America.
We're not doing anything radical, we're not causing trouble, we're not trying to cause a stir. We're simply here making a protest against something I think most of the British people would find sick and offensive. Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Why is he relevant now? Because he is still around. YouTube has not banned him. He is more popular than ever. He recently came out and said his 3 favorite books were Mein Kampf, a book written by the Grand Wizard of the KKK, David Duke, and another book written by the founder of the Nazi Party. That's why. And because, yeah, he's just a growing entity, and I would call him the most famous Nazi on the planet. At least on YouTube, which is quite a big sphere of influence.
We're remembering our dead today and we got to put up with that. Get them out! Fucking brave, aren't they? Wrapped round with their little rags round their head, aren't they?
Who's that princess?
Yeah, fuck off! Go back your own country!
Well, we're here to show our opposition against Bush and Blair's war, which is going to cost British soldiers' lives.
Members of the National Front, another far-right party, arrived. The mood became more ugly, but Mark seemed in his element.
I call on the members of ALO! Waterson, you're a freak! You haven't even got an opinion! Quite funny that's chatting black and white unite and fight, since they're all white over there. Yeah, you don't see the Muslims in the mosque jumping in with them, do you? Race traitors.
This was the old far right in action. But I could see little difference between Mark's repackaged BNP and the neo-Nazi NF. I knew there were at least Nazi sympathies within the BNP, and I had evidence on tape. For months I'd let Mark's views go unchallenged, knowing that a confrontation would jeopardize our relationship. So I went back to see him for what would be our last encounter.
This is it.
I don't really have any affection for Hitler at all. I mean, you can say...
37. The confrontation outs him as a fan of Hitler.
You can say I do. There's no Nazi paraphernalia around my house.
It's not to do with Nazi paraphernalia around your house. It's to do with the things you've said to me.
Well, you know, we can say that I've said things and I can deny them, but which I'm sure we can go into. But I have no great affection for Hitler or the Third Reich.
You have told me that not Hitler's Germany, 1930s Germany was a better place to bring up children than Oldham is in 2002. You've told me that you can't understand how, when people look at the Nazis marching and saluting in the street, they can fail to be inspired and feel a sense of nostalgia for that. And that National Socialism was the best solution for Germany in the 30s.
When did I say these things? Have you got any evidence of me saying these things?
You said these things to me in your car on a trip to Bradford.
Did I say these things? Where's your evidence of saying these things?
Mark, don't...
Where is your evidence of...
Mark, why do you think I remember these things so well?
Well, you can say anyone said things like this, but without evidence, how can we?
Okay, if I had evidence of you having said that, would this change the conversation?
If you had evidence of me saying that, then obviously I would have said it.
Okay, Mark, you said it, and it was all recorded.
Really?
Yes.
Well, can you leave my house, please? I don't know what to say. You've betrayed me. You know what I mean? We were talking personally about things, and I was talking.
And I was talking to you about my personal belief that I loved Hitler and Nazi Germany.
About, you know what I mean?
No, no one does. Mark, you want evidence? I recorded the whole thing. Get out of my house. It's classic. Jesus. He's freaking out.
Mark, as a journalist, I have a responsibility to report what I find. And what I found in you was somebody who was a very deep and complex character that had a real
Dave,
affection for Nazis.
Can I answer this in a minute? Can we take this off and answer it in a minute?
So let's analyze why he is panicking. It's because he knows that his views are going to be seen as deal breakers for anyone. And his point right now is to get people into his movement. So he has to be likable. He has to be not mainstream, but close enough to mainstream. He has to hide huge chunks of who he is. So he's back to the title of the video. He's young and he's a Nazi. He ain't proud of it. You know, but he's also being strategic, and he's saying, look, it's not a winning strategy to come out and say, yes, I love Hitler. And that's why he hides. But what's crazy about his recent admission is that it's almost like, again, he hasn't learned his lesson. He was on a stream with a guy named No White Guilt, and I think it was Daughter of Albion, who was in the chat here earlier. And, you know, a completely white nationalist audience. And this was like, you know, some, again, white nationalist channel. It eventually was on BitChute. So we're talking about behind closed doors. And he gets a question from someone in the chat, and it's, what 3 books would you recommend to preserve for the future white races, white people to enjoy? And he came out with those 3 books because he felt like he was among friends, and he was. The problem is it was recorded, and people who were not his friends heard it and simply broadcast what he said. This is his view about Hitler, about the Klan, about racists, about Nazism. So he's in a mad scramble to hide who he is, but also reveal it to the right people at the right time. It's a really weird push and pull. And he says, you betrayed me for... Why? Because I'm repeating back to you what you said to me. But ridiculous.
I've got to, David, after all we've done together, can we... After all we've done together, can we stop that playing?
No, I can't stop. I'm sorry, I can't stop it filming.
This guy. Oh, that's beautiful. Let me hit that refresh. Why can't I see that? Anyway, this guy says, racists like Mark and Devin hide who they are until they're caught or some shit. Now, I don't even know if that's worth addressing. Maybe I should just save my breath. Yeah, I mean, the difference is I'm not a racist. He is a Nazi. There's no catching me being racist because I'm not. I'm in no way like Mark Collett. That should be like overtly obvious. So yeah, it's just retarded. Just another like, and you know what's crazy? Like that guy right there, sad, lonely, pathetic loser, guaranteed. That's why he's hiding. Um, so someone like that needs attention. They need. Ooh, let me say something that gets attention. Let me be part of a group. Let me. I guarantee you. Go look at that guy's search history. It'd be a fucking joke.
I've got a.
There's a few other things which I want to talk to you about as well.
What that's been said or done?
That's been said and done. Yeah.
And you recorded everything.
I haven't recorded everything, no, but I've recorded quite a lot of things.
Can we turn it off?
I can't turn it off. No.
Can you? Just for 5 minutes.
No.
I just want to say a couple of things to you.
Okay, well let's finish the
I'm just going to ring Nick and quit from the party.
He is freaking out. He's going to ring the leader of the party to say what? Hey, I got caught saying pro-Nazi shit. What should I do?
I'm just going to quit my role in the party.
I'm going to quit my role in the party? Look at him, total flame-out mode here.
Nick, can you turn that off while I do that?
Well, maybe we'll finish the interview and then you should do that, Mark.
Yeah, the fact that he's on YouTube is crazy. I mean, I get fucking strikes for doing nothing. And this guy was just monetized probably. And I mean, Avalion came out and said Nazi shit. She's banned. So is this guy not saying the hardcore shit on his channel? Is that how he skirts around it?
When Mark came back, he insisted I turn the camera off.
Can you just turn it off for 5 minutes while I just say something?
No. Yeah, he's going to have a little audience to rally behind wherever he is, but that's not what he's about. He's trying to get to as many people as possible. That's his whole point. He has no political power. They're not doing jack shit. Look at the demographics. He's losing. The only way he has to win is to get more people.
Things I've got to say to you.
We talked for more than an hour. Eventually, he agreed to continue the interview.
Oh wow, I didn't see this part.
Start with the questions about. I'm going to answer all your questions honestly now.
Are you?
Now. Oh my God, he's thinking about damage control. The adrenaline dump is over, and he's like, okay, this guy, I can't get rid of him, can't kill him, can't burn the footage like Joe Exotic. So let's just try to patch this up, which is classic. He did this with Chris Dangerfield. I'm going to cover it in the video, where he's trying to say, let's fill in Selma, where he's trying to say, oh, those are the 3 books, but here's why it's okay that I recommended those 3 books. It's unreal.
You want what was on that tape, yeah? The shock and everything. Let's scrap that and let's get on with it, answering this properly.
Okay, well...
Why did you say what you said?
Start with telling me about your affection for Nazi Germany then.
Here we go. God. Imagine this. This is not a good look.
You're referring to what I said in the car. I'm not a Nazi.
What? It's worse to be not a Nazi. I mean, I'm going to make this point in the video too. There is no official I'm a Nazi anymore. Nazism, as we all know it and as we're referring to it, is to be a member of the party that existed in Germany that was attached to the Nazi war machine and in particular the Holocaust. So like the Nazis back then, not all of them were making policy decisions. They were recruited into the army. They had no choice. And so, Oskar Schindler was a Nazi. He was funded and given money by Jews for the remainder of his life. Oskar Schindler did not decide to commit the genocide. So it's worse to be a fan of the genocide. You're saying you're one of the guys in the High Council sitting at the big-ass table, wherever it was in Austria, where they planned this whole thing out. The Wannsee Conference. You're the guy sitting there nodding and going, yeah, let's kill the Jews. So you're totally on board with the most evil parts of Nazi Germany. So in that regard, you're worse than just an average Nazi.
But if you want to call me a Nazi sympathizer, you can.
Oh my God. You can call me a Nazi sympathizer, right? So this man has no tanks. He has no army. He's not, he's not living in the 30s and 40s in Germany. He doesn't have an official pin. There is nothing that happens to you where, oh, now officially you're a Nazi. But he's clearly in line with every belief that the Nazis held. And so that makes him, in common language, to say you are a Nazi. You are totally in line with the Nazis. And say, I mean, to say I'm a Nazi sympathizer, that's not any better. That's the exact same thing. You could abbreviate Nazi sympathizer to you're a Nazi. It's like if I said, Devin, are you a Nirvana fan? No, I'm not. You can't say that. Really? Because you like Nirvana. You listen to Nirvana. You recommend Nirvana to other people. Yeah, well, I mean, you could say I'm a Nirvana sympathizer. Like I'm sympathetic to that band and their songs. No, you're just a Nirvana fan, man. Stop running.
You said the things I said to you then disgusted you. And you quoted me as saying, I'd rather have lived in the 1930s than I would in Oldham. Yeah, that might disgust some people. You go to Oldham.
Mark.
You go.
So wait, he picks one Muslim ghetto in England and he goes, I'd rather be somewhere else than there. You could have picked Devonshire, Cornwall, Bristol, anywhere else. I mean, seriously, I mean, if you're going to go to different countries, pick Melbourne, Perth, Brisbane. What are you doing? You're going back in time to Nazi Germany and trying to be like, well, and this is a perfect example of a guy taking a kernel of truth. The town he was referencing, I don't know what it was. He talked about Bradford. It is a shithole. It has been overrun. It has major problems. And he goes, that's the kernel of truth. We agree with you there. And then, boo, off the reservation, Nazi Germany is great. What? No, it does not fly. It is a non sequitur.
Go to a place.
There are millions of people being exterminated in Oldham.
White people in Oldham are being...
There are not millions of people being exterminated in Oldham.
Look.
And the guy mentioned, like, hey, Mark, just millions of people being exterminated is the reason people have a bad feeling about the Nazis. This is about as useful as bringing up rape on a first date. Don't say it. Don't think it. Rethink it. What are you doing?
We, or people like me, or young people, or the people you saw with tattoos on, or the people you saw with wacky shirts on.
We are Nazi sympathizers, otherwise known as Nazis.
They feel an affinity for something.
For something? What? So now we're not going to call it by name? We're Voldemorting the Nazis?
Because they feel totally betrayed, and they feel that white people are being sold out today. And the only person they're told in the history books that ever stuck up for white people was Hitler.
What? Who said that? Hitler hated white people. Jesus Christ. You're British, dude. He killed the British. He didn't give a shit if they were white. Are you not familiar with the bombing raids? Holy God. That is crazy. Hitler is the worst white supremacist of all time. He was an Aryan Germanic supremacist. How many tens of millions of white people does he have to kill before you realize he's not a good leader for the white race? And by the way, I mean, listen to that. Hitler stood up for the whites. And shouldn't we, like, flock to the power that he had because he was sticking up for his group? And by the way, that's not even why people hate Hitler. I mean, if Hitler just said, hey, I am a fan of Germanic people, I represent Germanic people, and the rest of you guys, like, you're not allowed into my country, we're going to limit your migration to our country, he might have been frowned upon by a lot of people, but he wouldn't be a historically evil character. It was the action he took, which was murderous to a degree that human history has never seen before. I mean, there are other groups. The people of Poland, for example, have a very similar opinion about they stick up for white Polish people. Or definitely, just the Polish citizens. Same thing in Hungary. Just like that's the generic government policy where they go, in their House of Congress, they say, we are Hungarian, we are not Muslim. We are not here to cater to millions of Muslims coming into our country and making it their own. Now, no one is against Hitler for that reason in and of itself. It's what he did. It's what he did with it. Jesus. And it's not exactly that forward thinking and like magnanimous of you to be like, I'm only into one race and fuck all the other races. What? That's not a good policy to have. Good Lord. Look at What would you be cutting yourself? I mean, how do I phrase that? Jesus, you would be denying yourself so much raw human capital and friendship and just, it's wild. So, I mean, where does he get off just making these? Hold on. I'm actually interested in how he's going to, this can't go on long. He's got to bail out of this. Watch.
We've been together since February.
Was that a smile?
Okay, I'm Jewish by racial descent.
Oh my God, he just dropped a Jew bomb on him. I'm Jewish by racial descent. He's going to be sickened. And this goes in, you betrayed me. I was betrayed by a Jew.
The answer to whether or not I'd rather have my children growing up in Germany in the 1930s is that my children would have been killed in Germany in the 1930s.
Well, I had an inkling that you were a Jew, but you told me that you weren't.
Weren't they talking about how they had the same nose? He goes, we look the same. We have the big nose.
So I trusted you.
Well, you know, by Jewish law I'm not.
But I love that, yeah, he's not Jewish, he's not a practicing Jew, but it's like, what does it matter? He can't respond to his point. He's like, do you care to comment? I mean, let's get to the root of the matter. You're fine with the Jews being killed. I mean, if you weren't fine with that, wouldn't you make that as a caveat? I mean, if you wanted to be this retarded and go, I admire 1930s German, just that era of time. I admire the Nazis. But no, it's not for the reasons of them killing the Jews. I'm against that. That was outrageous and bad of the Nazis. But I like the Nazis for other reasons. Now, that just makes you Candace Owens. That's a stupid line of whatever. It's just, it's not going to get you anywhere, but he's not saying that. So his silence is deafening on that topic.
But by racial descent I am.
Well,
you know, you've also said that you and I look very alike.
I'm not Jewish.
No, but...
What? I'm not Jewish. Oh my God. He's like, how bad is this conversation going? A, I got caught being a Nazi. B, my cameraman and the guy I've been hanging out with for months is Jewish. And maybe I'm a Jew. Holy shit. It's all imploding.
You don't see the irony there. My skin is as white as yours. You've seen me all this time as white person. Now do you see me as not white?
Nothing. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Mark told me his resignation was refused.
Kick out Hitler Youth. I mean, it's not really that big of a secret that this guy's a Nazi. They knew it before the turn of the century.
His position is now on hold.
Let's watch the anti-Nazi League go up in flames.
We invited the British National Party to respond to the views Mark had revealed.
You ain't cold anymore, are you?
It said that to portray his views as representative of the BNP was thoroughly dishonest.
Is this a book burning LARP? What are we doing here?
Adding that it was opposed to Nazism and would discipline any member who advocated it. The BNP has big ambitions to win more council seats and eventually to enter the European Parliament. Mark Collett was to be a big part of those plans.
Young, Nazi and Pride, good TV or in poor taste? If you'd like to make a comment about this or any other programme on any...
It's in poor taste. Yeah, his views are in poor taste. Exposing his views is not in poor taste.
TV channel, then log on to channel4.com/thinktv.
Traditionally offered solutions to the problem of evil.
Plagues,
no, they just kept going
as well as...
I don't know what this is. Yeah, that was strange.
No. In Japan, is there a devil? No.
Okay, let's see. Let's see some of Mark's content today. Mark Collett. Actually, I have not seen that Russell Brand interview. Apparently Russell Brand tried to talk to him.
Hey, I'm Russell. I'm in Leeds. It's just after the Jubilee. We're between the Sweden and Argentina games of the 2002 World Cup. And I'm here to meet Mark Collett, the leader of the youth.
What's it called? Nick Griffin question time. Okay. Here's the yoga. I did this today. Yesterday. I got to do another one today. Soon.
And open up that hip.
Oh, God.
Relax your neck.
So hard.
Let's straighten and square that left leg with as much control as you can. Start to ripple forward to plank.
So this is a famous video. I'm expecting many views. That has a lot of views. B&P, 10 minutes, part 1. Okay.
Of intense debate for many weeks. Tonight, finally, they face our audience, the voters. Welcome.
Why would I be called a Nazi? Yes, so this is like a misnomer. You realize that it's justified to call people Nazis sometimes. And if you want to say neo-Nazi, if you want to say Nazi sympathizer, I mean, this is all bad. It's all bad. A fan of Hitler, a guy who recommends Mein Kampf. I mean, how many different ways can we say this? There are people you shouldn't call Nazi. Jared Taylor is not a Nazi. Richard Spencer is a Nazi. After the audio leaks of Richard Spencer. Yeah. I mean, these guys are hardcore and have been for just years upon years. And even their public side is just out. It's out. It's out of the closet.
To question time. And with me here in London, Jack Straw.
Yes. So yes, if they tried to call me a Nazi, I'm clearly not a Nazi. But if you try to call Mark Collett a Nazi, he clearly is a Nazi. So what are we going to do? What a red herring is that? I'm not here to talk about a guy mislabeling someone. I mean, you know, I'm against mislabeling. But if a guy expresses the views that Mark Collett expresses, it's absolutely fair to call him a Nazi. I mean, he would be proud of that shit. This is the guy bringing up the Nazis. You know, these aren't just regular politicians. They're not just going around talking about taxes and immigration. He brings it up. He's happy about it. This is what he does in his spare time. These are the books he reads. These are the books he recommends. I have not read Mein Kampf. I condemn the Nazis completely, with the caveats that I've already laid out.
Justice Secretary, formerly Home and Foreign Secretary, the Conservative Shadow Minister for Community Cohesion, Saida Vasi, recently named the most powerful Muslim woman in Britain.
Fucking hell.
The man narrowly beaten by Nick Clegg to the leadership of the Liberal Democrats, the party's Home Affairs spokesman, Chris Huhne. The leader of the British National Party, Nick...
What the fuck is that? That's his real eye? Guy looks like Quasimodo. Is he still around? What is going on? Troubling.
Griffin, and the American-born playwright and deputy chairman of the British Museum, Bonnie Greer.
Hold on. We have a question in the chat. I love answering questions and interacting with my audience. It's so joyous. It's so fun. It's, let's see here. What the fuck am I watching and why did you get cut off live last night? You are watching nothing. Or you're not commenting. You might still be watching. You probably are. But go fuck yourself. Let me see. Anyone out there have anything remotely negative or edgy to say to me? Please. Go now. Test your fate. Let's put our relationship into a dangerous place. Is he, Collett, still active? Yes, very much active. He's online. He's streaming all the time. He's streaming today, yesterday. He's, you know, the guy is just an outspoken advocate for Nazi ideas. Love you, Devin. Yeah, 54 dislikes. I haven't banned 54 people. That's weird. It's almost like you're not proud. You're not proud of your dislike? Oh, there we go. I like Collett. Collett 2020. Hooray. Okay, bye. Bye. What do you think of American History X? Love that movie. I watched it when I was 13, kind of changed my mind. Changed your mind about what? What was your mind before that? Ed Norton is an incredible actor. So his brother, the kid from Terminator, did a great job. Who else? The black guys in prison did good. I don't know who made the film. It was in black and white. It took place in Venice. Really powerful film. I wonder what the soundtrack is like for that. Maybe I'll use that for something. Let me find it. American History X. It's a fantastic film. And it's as relevant today as ever. Oh, and by the way, you're supposed to be rooting against the Nazis in that film. That's the whole point of this character's journey. Powerful. Okay. Where's our... I gotta see. I mean, are they just gonna ask him point blank questions and he's gonna let the mask slip? Is that what happens?
And good evening and welcome, and as ever the...
And by the way, I agree. You want some edge? I agree with Ed Norton's character early on when he was describing the LA riots. Absolutely correct. It's a fascinating tale. I mean, look, let's go watch the scene. And I'll tell you where he goes wrong. It's very... I've done this before. American History X, LA riots. Yeah. Relevant. Watch this.
Destroyed during the riots were owned by black people. The irony is that most of the stores that were destroyed during the riots were owned by black people.
That's stupid, though. I mean, why trash your own neighborhood?
Well, that's my point. It's an irrational act. It's
No. See, this is the Jewish character. It's not irony and it's not irrational that they destroyed their own neighborhood. It's stupid. And it's their fault. It's not like he's trying to not blame the people who destroyed the ghettos of LA. I mean, they set fire to those buildings. They looted. They did that. Yes. Is it irrational? Of course. Is it violent? Yes. But it's their fault. Don't try to blame just rage or whatever.
like an expression of rage by people who feel neglected and turned away by the system.
Exactly. I mean, it's like we had
Neglected
in Watts
bullshit.
or the riots in Chicago in '68.
Yeah, Chicago and Watts were, none of those were acceptable. It's absolutely just inexcusable behavior from that segment of society. In no way do they get a pass. They should all be arrested.
Crap, I don't buy that for a minute. Calling a riot
Yes,
an irrational
exactly.
expression of rage.
Absolutely correct. Now, what's the difference between me and him? I don't have a swastika tatted on my chest anymore. That's the difference. I don't hate people. I just hate liars and I hate weakness. And if you're going to say that the LA riots get a pass because it's irrational to riot, try to run that by a judge. And by the way, they did run that by a judge. The LA 4, the guys who almost killed and basically killed Reginald Denny. And they said, it's not our fault because of the mitigating circumstance of there was a riot. And this big irrational riot, we got caught up in it. So don't blame us for throwing bricks at a man's skull and attacking him because he was white. No, that is a hate crime. They should have been given extra time in prison. It should have been attempted murder, and they should all be in jail. But they all got let off. Minor charges. Parole. Probation. It was insane. Did we riot? Did the white people of LA riot after the LA 4 got off? You probably didn't even know that. You didn't know that. Do you know how many murders occurred in the LA riots? Do you know how many of those murders were of white people? I'm going to do a video series on this, and I'm going to go over every murder in the LA riots to educate the youth, to educate the foreigners. None of you were there. I was there. This happened before OJ and all that fucking bullshit. You want to pour racist fuel on a fire? Have OJ happen after the LA riots in the same city. It's insane. He is 1,000% correct. And then where does he go wrong? Well, he joins the freaking neo-Nazis because he seeks power. He seeks community. And how about this? What if you could be powerful and have a community that isn't hateful and backward and incorrect and evil? Is that possible? I've seen people do it. And don't you think it would be more a display of strength to not find yourself into some radicalized extremist group? Can you not be moral like me? An Eagle Scout? Can you not exhibit common sense and just decency? But no, you got to spurg out and be like, Sieg Heil and hail victory. And yeah, what did Hitler do wrong? And fuck the Jews. What does that have to do with anything?
It's such a cop-out. It's opportunism at its worst. It's a bunch of people grabbing any excuse they can find to go and loot a store.
Yeah, exactly. And the looting, where's that come in? Not only the looting, the attacks on firefighters, police, reporters, truck drivers, white people, just random. It was savage. I mean, it's a stain on the history of our country. To take anything good out of the LA riots is a joke, and fuck Rodney King too. And they start talking about it here too.
Nothing more. You know, the fact that these people ripped off the stores in their own communities, all that reflects is the degree to which these people have absolutely no respect for the law at all. And certainly
It's true. Absolutely. Or each other, by the way, I will add, Mr. Ed Norton. Hence the black on black crime stats. Hence, yeah, they robbed their own stores. Although some of the stores were Korean.
no concept of like community or civic responsibility.
None. Us versus them, burn it all down. They don't give a shit. Because as they would say, they're disenfranchised, they're overlooked. No, they're not putting in the work. They don't care.
White people commit crimes against white people too.
And not to the same degree. Disproportionate.
Yeah, but they're not offing each other in record numbers all over America. Look at the statistics, for Christ's sakes.
It's absolutely accurate. All of this.
It's one in every...
So the difference, if this is Mark Collett, and by the way, Mark Collett would agree with all this too. The difference is, why do they go into Nazism? How do they not see that as a leap that is, first of all, serves no purpose. Second of all, is just ethically completely moronic. And, I mean, they take an ahistorical look, deny the Holocaust, blame the Jews. I mean, get into some crazy xenophobia. No, this is not, like, I'm talking about the people that committed the atrocities of the LA riots. I'm not talking about the black barber or butcher or dentist. There are 1,000 of them. I'm not talking about those guys who are horrified that they're burning down the city. Because Rodney King is a fuck-up and a lifelong drug addict and endangered the lives of hundreds of people that night, that's not some statement that all black people are representative of Rodney King. It's insane. And yet, it's just a lazy way to go.
3 black males is in some phase of the correctional system. Is that a coincidence?
That's still true today, by the way. This movie was made when?
Or do these people have, you know, like a racial commitment to crime?
Not only that, they're proud of it.
Yes, that's absolutely true. And this woman is like, this is Karen. This is an SJW who's well-intentioned and all sorts of empathy. And here she comes in with a point. But they are definitely proud of their criminal behavior. They're not ashamed of it. They see a cop, they'll splash the cop with water. They'll be like, fuck you, pig. I make more money than you. Fuck off. They flaunt it. It is celebrated in parts of the culture, and everyone knows this. So another completely valid point. And this is why this movie is interesting, because it asks these questions and makes you wrestle with this. He's not, I guarantee you the writer who did this is not presenting this right here to make Ed Norton's character be impossible to relate to. He's saying these points because the guy's making sense. Now, in this conversation, he goes haywire and goes, yeah, you're a K word. And, you know, he shows his true colors. He shows his swastika here. So he reveals that his righteous anger that he has over the despicable behavior of people in LA during the LA riots and beyond, just an ongoing criminal insanity, he takes that anger and it morphs into something worse. I mean, he takes it to a place where he is now the problem. He's no longer in the right. And this is the slippery slope. This is the problem. And it's not Mark Collett. Mark Collett's a joke. He's a scrawny little shit. It's the fact that people in this fucking chat, look at the dislikes of this video. There are people out there who they don't have nowhere else to go. They hear a guy going, hey, Muslim rape gangs, Muslim rape gangs bad. What else? He'll say something like, I don't know, just something that, like terrorism is bad. I mean, these guys will pop up and be like, hey, the Muslims commit an act of terror. Yes, I'm against that too. But then they take you down this path and it's completely toxic. I mean, who cannot see that? And yet it's attractive, and yet it's working. And I mean, does it really need to be explained? I'll tell you where this guy goes wrong in this conversation.
Well, maybe it says something about prejudice in the judicial system.
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. That is racism of the gaps. No. The people that commit the crimes are people of color. Go ask the victims. Nothing to do with the courts.
If you want to talk about criminal statistics, you might want to take a look at the social inequalities that produce them.
That's a Bernie bro, future Bernie bro. And again, social inequalities, not relevant. You cannot commit crimes. You cannot kill firefighters. You cannot kill innocent people. Good Lord, that's very bare minimum. That's all we ask. Partake in the golden rule or get the fuck out.
Yap. You know what? That's exactly what I hate. Because what you're doing, Davina, is taking one thing and calling it something else and just...
Yes, exactly. Like Hunter Avalon just did. Hey, blacks commit more crimes, but it's due to socioeconomics. I'm more comfortable saying that the disparity in criminal numbers between whites and blacks is because of socioeconomics. And then he just leaves it there. Like, what? What is that? You think you just nullified the fact that these human beings are violating other people? Robbing them, assaulting them, killing them, raping them? Because you said the word socioeconomics? Fuck you. It's pathetic.
You know, alleviating the responsibility that these people have for their own actions. You know, it's like saying, it's not a riot, it's rage. It's not crime, it's poverty. It's just nonsense. It's
Yes.
bullshit. You know, it's exactly
Totally
what
true.
happened in this trial, too, because the media twisted things around so people got all focused on, these cops and whether or not they were going to get convicted and whether Rodney King's civil rights had been violated. I mean,
Absurd.
everybody lost sight of old Rodney King himself. I mean, the guy's a multiple felon. By his own admission, he's high as a goddamn kite.
PCP.
Driving 120 miles an hour down the highway. He gets pulled over by a bunch of cops, and he attacks them. He attacked police
Did not
officers. That's
comply.
the bottom line. And he walked.
He could have just sat there and given himself up. He did not comply. He was high as a kite.
There's some yahoo there with a video camera who turned it on halfway through, so that all we see is them hitting him.
Exactly. You know, you got your pal and coon
I
whining.
mean, have you ever seen the way they deal with people at the end of a high-speed chase? Rodney King's lucky to be alive. If you get out of the car and you're not complying, show us your hands, get down. You'll get peppered with, I mean, how many clips are there? At the end of a high-speed chase, they treat you like you're a lethal weapon. You've clearly have no consideration for their orders. You've been chasing this dude for hours. He's endangering lives. He's flying through the freeways, off-ramps, all that. The guy is completely established that he is not going to comply. So it actually is kind of miraculous that the guy survived this.
Up and cracking him with billy clubs and Briseno kicking him in the back of the skull, so it looks severe, you know?
Right, and so a couple of the guys, you can punish a couple of the cops for being too aggressive and not going by the training. But what happened? A guy got roughed up. And then now we have, how many people died from here? Like 20 people died? How many people died in the LA riots? People died. They lost their lives. How many deaths in the LA riots? 63 people died because of this shit. Because Rodney King got roughed up. And he deserved to be contained, to be detained. He was resisting arrest. What do you expect is going to happen? That's exactly what you're supposed to do. They tased him. The tasers didn't work. The dude had fucking retard strength. Now, where's my thing? Oh, Jesus. Oh, here we go. Nope. That's not it. Oh, God. So many tabs. It's getting out of control. Nazi Boy. That's not it. Trying out StreamYard. Nick Griffin. Where did it go? Here it is.
And people are going, oh, this poor guy who attacked 4 cops, and those cops end up on the stand defending themselves for using absolutely standard textbook self-defense procedures.
And it's all optics. It's the fact that there was a home video of white people beating a black person. That is the story of Rodney King. Has nothing to do with what Rodney had done before, or him resisting arrest, or the sequence of events. It's just people didn't like to look at a video of white people beating on a black person. That's it. And if you don't understand that, maybe you didn't understand that then, you should understand that now. It's optics. That's all that matters. That's why videos go viral. It's been happening for years and years, and the internet has only given people the power to engage with this itch. they like it. They seek this thing out because it enrages them. They're like, ooh, this reminds me of slavery.
I don't think that the tape showed that at all.
Oh, you didn't think so, huh? And what, you're an authority, Ma?
Sparky, look at her. She's from vacation.
Murray, what do you think?
Well, I did think that the police used their clubs rather excessively.
Yes, and you could make the case that that was true, but given the context and who this guy was and what he had just done, and his continued, resistance, Jesus.
Who are you to say what's excessive? I think it was totally appropriate. I think they're in a better position to make that judgment call than you are. In fact, we as society grant cops a certain amount of authority to make those calls because we acknowledge that their job is difficult and dangerous.
They're dealing with the dregs of society, the worst of the worst. Dudes have guns. Dudes attack cops all the time. The guy was a threat, an actual literal threat to just hundreds of people that night. And guess what? Rodney King indirectly led to the death of 63 people, the vast majority of which were white.
You know, unfortunately, very few people respect that authority.
Look who's talking about respect here, Mr. Junior KKK.
What?
Davina.
What? You know what? You want to go to college,
Derek.
Davina? You should learn to listen.
Derek.
Okay? I didn't say I respect
Derek.
any laws. I acknowledge a cop's authority. I don't respect any laws that...
So she labels him the KKK, which is absurd, because the optics. I mean, if he was talking about a white guy being beaten, exact same points, she would have no problem, and she would not call him a member of the KKK. And yet the argument is the exact same. So that's why it just doesn't hold up as a slur.
Let monkeys like Rodney King back on the street.
So there you go. So now people gravitate on that. Oh, he said monkey. And now the conversation's over. Yep, he said that word. Okay. So if he swaps out monkey with degenerate, drug-addicted criminals, I mean, you could come up with other words, but if it's a racially tinged word, which is representative of his anger, people will now view Ed Norton as the problem. And you still haven't addressed his argument. You're still not talking about Rodney King, the dude. But you're happy to pivot. You're happy to get off of Rodney King, what he did, get off of black crime stats, and jump onto why did you use that word?
Second of all, I am not, as you well know...
And that's why people in positions like this, and me, people, if you want to speak about these issues, you have to be particular about your language. You cannot take the easy way. You cannot use words that are going to blow up the whole situation. First of all, it's not, well, I mean, I don't use those words in private, but publicly, the point of you talking is to influence people, to get your point across, to have it come across in the best way possible. And for you to use those words, it spits in the face of your objective. It's not going to help you.
A member of a low-rent, disorganized bunch of rednecks like the fucking KKK, please. So take your head out of your ass. I mean, you've gotten off the point. I had a point. That wasn't even the point.
Do you have one? What is your point, Derek?
All right, think about this. Think about this. If Danny had been walking across the street that night and Rodney King had plowed into him...
And by the way, that is what we're talking about when you have a high-speed chase. Go look at the footage. I'm sure it's out there. The news people, they used to cover those things all the time. And he's zipping through, flying through, totally high as a kite. This is all reckless endangerment.
Just drop this Rodney King thing.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, I can't believe she's cheating on Chevy Chase.
Who would like some dessert?
We're having a discussion.
We're having a nice discussion, right? If Rodney King had been driving along, hopped up on Chivas Regal and PCP and had killed Danny, you'd be singing a very different tune about the force
hit
those
anybody in the tapes. And
Not the point, Mom. There's a reason why flying through the city streets on PCP is illegal. It's because it could have happened. This is why they had to arrest him.
He didn't happen to kill anybody, thank God.
Calm it down, okay? Allie's sleeping.
If he had, though, I mean, come on, think about it. If that fucking monkey had run some kid over, everybody would have a very different opinion of this whole matter. You know, they'd be focused on Rodney King and not on these officers, but instead, he just attacked a few cops.
So, right. So this is where he let the anger morph him and his insides, and now the filmmakers are making him the bad guy because he used the M word. Now, he could have easily swapped that word out with another word totally appropriate describing Rodney King.
And so all of a sudden it's hands across America for this fucking total son of a bitch.
That's it. Rodney King is a total son of a bitch, and everyone should be aware of that. He was before the Rodney King incident. He was after.
It blows my mind. We're so hung up on this notion that we have some obligation to help this struggling black man, you know, cut him some
Yes, that's white guilt. Now he's addressing white guilt.
slack until he can overcome
We owe them.
these historical injustices. It's crap. This stuff you guys are saying just perpetuates it. All this liberal nonsense, you know, everyone's turning and looking the other way while our country rots from the inside out.
1000% true. This argumentation wouldn't work for any other group. No other group. If Irish Americans said, you know what? Irish Americans, like descendants of Ireland, they on average make less money than descendants of Scotland and Great Britain and Germany and Italy and Japan. And then they say, it's because of the bullshit that the Irish people had to deal with back in the day. We deserve money. It's an excuse. Let's talk about it. We're oppressed. Boo-hoo for the Irish Americans. We would say, no, Irish Americans, bullshit. Stop. You're not special. It's not working. Refrain.
Christ, Lincoln freed the slaves. What, like 130 years ago? How long does it take to get your act together?
Well, Jews have been persecuted for over 5,000
He's the one that brought up the Jews. Oh, God.
years. Are you saying that it's wrong to feel sensitive about anti-Semitism?
Wait a minute. It's a weird comparison, by the way. Jews have been persecuted for thousands of years, so therefore blacks can carry on this narrative and this excuse for thousands of years. Rodney King was not persecuted by anybody. He was helped by the government of America, and he lived in one of the greatest nations on earth. He had every chance to be successful and to live far better than the black people all around the world in other countries. So it's just not true. Like, we don't live in an oppressive society. These people have every rights that anyone else has. We're not going to see the rest. All right. Well, there's the point. Now let's get back to Nick Griffin. See how you.
The panel haven't seen the questions they're going to be asked tonight, so let's have the very first one from Peter Logg, please. Peter Logg.
Given that the Second World War was fueled by the need to disarm oppressive and racist
that is a real person
regimes, is it fair that the BNP has hijacked Churchill as its own?
Is it fair the BNP has hijacked Churchill? Jack Straw.
It's certainly not fair. And one of the extraordinary things...
Yeah, so is that some guy, some dork in the chat earlier was like, hey, he's hyping up Hitler and Stalin, but he also mentioned Churchill. So are they hiding behind the shield of Churchill? And why? Because Churchill had some patriotic rah-rah speeches, or he represented strength? He fought off the Nazis. How could you celebrate Hitler and Churchill?
Things about the Second World War and the First World War was not only that we fought Nazism in the Second World War and defeated it, a party and an ideology based on race, just like another party represented here today, based on race, fundamental to its constitution. And it's that difference, by the way, the fact that the BNP defines itself on race.
But how weird is it? Let me point out the cognitive dissonance, the contradiction, the conflict, with a guy like Mark Collett fawning over the Nazis and claiming that they were white people who stood up for white people. The Nazis hated the British. Actually, Hitler had respect for the British culture and society and history, but, you know, not so much respect that he wouldn't kill them and take them over. He killed Russians, he killed French, he killed Americans, he killed, you know, white people, just Australians, Canadians, you name it. He didn't care. So it's weird that Mark Collett is trying to claim the Nazis and people like him in the BNP, and yet the Nazis would not claim them. And they would be like, you're not us, go fuck yourself.
Which distinguishes it from every other political party I can think of. And what is common about every other political party that I can think of, regardless of the differences, is that they each have a moral compass, and they show respect, a recognizable moral compass for them based on long-standing cultural and philosophical and religious values of Western society. Nazism didn't, and neither, I'm afraid, does the constitution of the BNP. The other thing I just say is this. We only won the First World War, and we only won the Second World War because we were joined in those wars.
Churchill had a Keep Britain White campaign after the war. I did not know about that or hear about that, but What does that even look like? Is that just his immigration policy, or I don't know what it is? But I mean, at some point, Britain's empire imploded, and they had all these colonies and all these people from around the world, and they gave them a sort of citizenship or some sort of quasi citizenship, the ability to become citizens, and they basically just went back to Britain. Large numbers of them did, and that's why you have more languages spoken in London than in any other city on earth.
By millions of black and Asian people from around the world.
What was that applause line? I don't.
Of black, because we were joined in those wars by millions of black and Asian people from around the world.
I don't think there was millions of black people. And Asians, we were fighting the Japanese. And I know there were pockets of blacks. Well, they've been blacks fighting in American Army forever, but we had a small segment, yeah, and there were Japanese Americans that fought for us as well, but it's definitely not millions. But that's just absolute bullshit revisionist history. World War II was won by white people. And why did he not include whites there? That was a weird optics move. At the end of it, he's like, it was blacks and Asians that really helped fight Hitler. What? Go tell that to the Russians. The fuck are you talking about? Have you ever seen the beaches of Normandy? It was not that diverse.
My constituency is twinned with a little town in northern France called Péronne. It was massacred in the First World War, the Battle of the Somme. Hundreds of people from East Lancashire, lads from East Lancashire, were killed. Okay. If you go to the Péronne Military Cemetery, just outside Péronne,
it's all black people.
You'll find 577 young men buried there. 257 of those come from East Lancashire. They've got names like Ainsworth and Barnes.
And?
The others, more than half, have Indian or Pakistani sounding names.
Hold on. The Sikhs have a long tradition of fighting well for the British Army. But wait, are you picking one battle and one squadron that came from one ethnic neighborhood and saying, look, these people died for you? Yeah, have you ever seen the movie, there was that movie where they had to evacuate the people from the beaches. They were trapped. That came out, and then 1917 came out. I know that's the previous war, but it's all white people. Who are you kidding right now? Are we diminishing the role of white people in World War II? What kind of point is that? So you're saying if you join the military and fight alongside white English people, then what? Then we should have you become the majority of our country? Then I don't know what the next point is. I mean, hooray for the people that fought in World War II, all of them. They all get respect for that. But I don't know why that would then shape your immigration policy. It's not really a logical point there.
Like Mohammed Khan from the 18th King's Own Lancers.
All right.
Or Sheikh Mohammed. These people died together to fight for us.
Okay.
And that
there were literally millions in both wars, whites, blacks, and Asians fighting against Nazism was his point. What millions of Asians were fighting against Nazis, and what millions of blacks? Where are they coming from? I'm telling you that's wrong. That's absolutely not correct. Show me a million blacks fighting in World War II. You can't. And as far as Asians, I mean, what Asian group are you saying? Clearly not the Japanese. And by the way, wouldn't that cancel out? Even if you could find that some Asians fought in World War II, was it not dwarfed by the fact that Japan and the Japanese are Asian? So what point are you making about race if the people we're fighting are the same people that you're saying, see, some of us fought against these people? It doesn't make any sense.
That's why having a multiracial society and ensuring that race-based politics has no place in our society is fundamental to the decent British values which are held by most people in this country.
Right, so that's just no consideration for race or one's heritage. They don't care at all about demographics, which is blind, naive. It's a fantasy. I mean, none of these other nations abide by that. Go ask Pakistan. If Pakistan was getting diverse and multicultural, you don't think there'd be an uproar if Pakistan wasn't majority Pakistani? Or if India, same thing? Japan? Are you kidding me? So what is it that you're so sure that this experiment of just let's have a free-for-all of all groups, of all people, whatever culture, just come on in? I mean, how is that the British ethic, or what makes people British? The identity of what it is to be British is to not give a shit about being British. It basically means nothing. Come in, do whatever you want. It's just not, I don't find that to be valid at all.
Nick Griffin, you said if Churchill were alive today, his own place would be in the British National Party. Why did you say that? And why did you hijack his reputation?
I say that Churchill would belong in the British National Party because no other party would have him for what he said in the early days of mass immigration into this country, for the fact that, quote, they're only coming for our benefit system, and for the fact that in his younger days he was extremely critical of the dangers of fundamentalist Islam, in a way which would now be described as Islamophobic. I believe that the whole of the effort in the Second World War and the First was designed to preserve British sovereignty, British freedom, which Jack Straw's government is now giving away lock, stock and barrel to the European Union, and to prevent this country being invaded
So the leader of your party has a lazy eye and looks like Quasimodo, and you expected this to work?
by foreigners. Finally, my father was in the RAF during the Second World War, while Mr. Straw's father was in prison for refusing to fight Adolf Hitler.
Sorry. Wait a minute.
My dad can beat up your dad.
What's that got to do with the issue? What's that got to do with the issue?
Mr. Straw was attacking me, and I've been relentlessly attacked and demonised over the last few days. And the fact is that my father was in the RAF during the Second World War. I am not a Nazi. Right. I never have been.
The man there.
Yeah, I would just like to say to Nick Griffin about the whole issue of Europe and how Europe seems to be against Europe, when 80% of our trade is with the European Union.
Okay, we may come to that later. We're talking about race issues at the moment. You, sir.
Brexit would come much later.
See, I think it's an absolute disgrace that you can't even sort of take on board what Jack Straw has said. Your organisation has been going for over 9,500 days. It's only in the past month or so that you've actually had your hands behind your back and you've been forced to look at accepting people of sort of a different racial and ethnic background. And for just 1 minute, could you not think of the benefits that my parents brought to this country, and other parents from an Asian, from an Indian, from a Pakistani background have brought? No. All you're thinking of doing is trying to sort of poison politics. And yes, you are. Poison politics and poison the minds of people in this country. The vast majority of this audience find what you stand for to be completely disgusting and reprehensible. Completely disgusting.
You want to answer that? Briefly, if you would.
Without a shadow of a doubt, I appreciate that if you look at some of the things I'm quoted as having said in the Daily Mail Day and so on, I'd be a monster. Those things are outrageous lies.
Which is the untrue quote that's been said about you? The Holocaust denial, possibly?
The vast majority of them. Far too many to go into, but...
All right, let's just go to denying the Holocaust, for instance. Did you deny the Holocaust?
I did not have a conviction for Holocaust denial.
But you did deny it? Why are you smiling? It's not a particularly amusing issue.
I was very critical of the...
He knows he's caught in a lie and he doesn't know how to get out of this.
...way in which the Holocaust was, and is, in fact, abused to prevent serious discussion over immigration.
Just you say you're misquoted. Ethnicity. I want to see Britain become... Wait. Ethnicity.